Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, good evening. Tonight we will discuss about bank service. Bank service include the transfer, bank guarantee, letter of credit, safe deposit box, value card, incasso. So the first material is transfer, will presented by Risna. Time and screen is yours.
Okay, thank you. Banking transfer. The definition of transfer remittance transfer is one of the services in the banking world that is widely used by the community. Its use varies, whether it is done by wire or in writing, because transfers are usually carried out domestically and abroad, which can be carried out in foreign currency or in rupiah. In other words, transfer is a bank service activity to transfer a certain amount of funds in accordance with the orders of the giver of the mandate intended for the benefit of someone who is appointed as the recipient of the transfer. Both outgoing and incoming money transfer will result in a reciprocal relationship between branches, meaning that when one branch debit, another branch credit. Transfer types. The first, transfer out, is one type of remittance that can simplify payment traffic is by sending money outbound transfer. The second, inbound transfer. In addition to outgoing transfer, there are also incoming transfer where the bank receives a mandate from one of the branches to pay a certain amount of money to someone. According to Malayu SP Hasibuan, judging from the notification, those are means use transfer are divided into the first, remittance by mail, the second, money order by money order, the third, remittance by telex or telegram, the fourth, transfer by fast mail, the fifth, transfer by passbook or ATM. According to P. Suhardi, judging from the currency used, the transfer is divided into the first, transfer in rupiah, the second, transfer in foreign currency. According to P. Suhardi, judging from the place where the transfer is intended, it can be divided into the first, domestic transfer, the second, overseas transfer. Based on the implementation, merchant transfer are distinguished as follows. The first, transfer via Bank Indonesia, the second, transfer via other banks, the third, transfer through the bank-owned branch. Tips of transfer based on the interest of the service user. The first, transfer for the benefit of the debtor. The second, transfer for the benefit of non-debtors. The third, transfer for the benefit of the part within the bank itself. Type of transfer based on the fund deposit. The first, debit current account or savings or deposit. The second, cash. The third, clearing deposit. The fourth, collection resort. There are two types of transfer or money transfer to other banks, namely the first, RTGS, the second, LG credit clearing. Parties relevant to the transfer. The customer is the owner of the fund and who will transfer the fund or receive a certain amount of fund from the sender through a money transfer service. The second, drawer bank on drawer bank, namely the bank that perform the transfer or bank the receive fund on an order from the customer to be transferred to the driver of or interested bank, which is the handed over to the beneficiary. The third, interested bank is the bank that receives incoming transfer from the bank driver to be forwarded or paid to the beneficiary. The first beneficiary is the final party entitled to receive transfer fund from the bank. Transfer machines. The transfer itself can facilitate trade transaction, facilitate payment transaction, and by using a transfer system, the security for customer transaction is guaranteed. How to make a transfer via ATM bersama with the destination Bank Mandiri. The first, insert your ATM card. The second, enter your PIN. The third, select transfer on the ATM menu. The fourth, select transfer to another bank or transfer to ATM bersama bank. The fifth, enter the destination bank code and beneficiary account number. The sixth, enter the amount of fund to be transferred. The seventh, on the following screen, select correct to proceed with the transaction. Data input on the following screen is not required. The ATM screen will display transaction data to be processed. Select yes if all the data is correct. The 9. The ATM machine will issue an ATM receipt as proof of the transaction. The 10. Save ATM receipt as needed. Transfer procedure. The first, if a person want to make a bank transfer or she visit a bank and the bank provide the from that a person is required to submit with proper details to his bank. The second, will making a bank transfer, you must have the following details. The third, bank transfer usually take 3 until 4 days to reflect the amount in the pay account. The four, while making a bank transfer, we must always enter the correct reference number to help the pay find the account. Transfer advance and disadvantage. The first, transfer advance. This will save time and travel costs for customer. Another advantage is that customer can perform banking transaction anytime and from anywhere. The second leg of transfer, namely as follows: the first leg of flexibility, the second security issues, the three technical obstacle. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. Next material is bank guarantee. Will be presented by myself. Okay, for the first is definition of bank guarantee. According Huyaso and Ahmad Anwari, bank guarantee as guarantees or guarantees provided by banks. The bank guarantees to fulfill an obligation if what is guaranteed in the future turns out to not fulfill obligation to other parties as agreed. Bank guarantees is a guarantee provided by the bank for the benefit of the customer which is intended to provide guarantees to the guarantees recipient or third party that bank will fulfill the customer's obligation to guaranteed recipients or third party if the customer defaults doesn't fulfill obligation to the guarantees recipients or third party as agreed. Next is type of bank guarantee. The type of bank guarantees include bank guarantees for suspension of import duties, bank guarantees for tobacco excise tax, bank guarantees for domestic tenders, bank guarantees for work execution, bank guarantees for job advance, bank guarantees for overseas tenders, bank guarantees for trade, and the last is bank guarantees for good deliver. Next is the purpose of bank guarantee. The purpose of providing a bank guarantee uh, by the bank to recipient of the guarantee or being guaranteed is follow. The bank's goals is to provide assistance with the facilities and confidence in facilitating customer transaction in terms of working on a business or project or willing to participate in tenders. With a bank guarantee, customers can run a business or project. Next, for the guarantees holders or employer, the bank guarantees is to provide confidence that the guarantees holder will not suffer loss if the guaranteed party neglects his obligation because the holder will receive compensation from the bank that issued the bank guarantee. C. Fostering mutual trust between the guarantor and the guarantor. And next is provides a sense of security and peace in doing business, both of the bank and for other parties. And the last is for the bank. In additional to the benefits above, they will also benefit from the fees that must be paid by the customer and the collateral provided by opponent. Next is mechanism or procedure of bank guarantee. The mechanism for the bank guarantee process itself, of course, involves three parties, namely the guarantor, and the recipient of the guarantor. The guarantor has is the bank that issues the guarantee. The guaranteed party, the customer who submits or as an application for collect to the bank in order to obtain the issues of a bank guarantee for the benefit of the transaction or agreement with the party receiving the guarantee. If the guaranteed party reneges on his obligation, then the guarantee's recipients has the right to receive guarantees for the default that occurs, that his so that he is entitled to a certain amount of compensation for the violation. For this reason, the guaranteed party must be a customer and are required to have deposit with the guarantee bank. This deposit can be in the form of demand deposit or time deposit. The amount itself must be at least equal to the amount of the security deposit to be issued. Bank issue bank guarantees after previous transaction. In a sense of to issue a bank guarantees, there must be a many main activity that is guaranteed through a bank guarantee. The main activities are, for example, the exiting of a tender for a certain project, the existence of the transaction to create an obligation to pay at certain time in the future. The main activity takes time, and after that period, certain parties must fulfill obligation. The guarantee that the fulfillment of obligation in the future bank guarantee is needed, namely bank guarantee. Okay, I think it's enough. For next material is letter of credit will be presented by Muhammad Fikrul Umam. Time and screen is yours.
For this, I will not explain completely. I will only explain the important points of letter of credit material. The exporter can use to get money faster. Payment can be received without waiting for news from the recipient country first after the goods and document files are sent abroad and will make it easier for the parties involved. The second is the type of letter of credit. This is explanation of the types letter of credit. One is revocable. This type of letter of credit can be can cancel unilaterally by the issuing bank without having to wait for approval from the beneficiary. In addition, cancellation can also be made without notice. Two is irrevocable. Irrevocable letter of credit can be changed and changed, but must be with the approval of all parties concerned. The three is back-to-back letter of credit. Is a type of letter of credit that use an intermediary as a beneficiary. So the bank needs to open a letter of credit to the real recipient of the goods. Four is revolving letter of credit. This type of letter of credit can be used multiple times by the same recipient and sender. Five is unrestricted letter of credit. Letter of credit that frees its user to negotiate at any bank without any restriction and exception. Six is SIG letter of credit. SIG letter of credit is a type of letter of credit that requires the owner of the goods to pay directly when applying for a letter of credit. Seven is usance letter of credit. The payment system on the usance letter of credit can only be met at certain banks and must be met by the person whose name is listed in the document. Eight is red clause letter of credit. Red clause letter of credit is a special type that provides funds to exporters before the goods are dispatched from the country of origin. The purpose of letter of credit service. One, solve import-export problem. The second is giving profit. The third is credit facilities. Next, the mechanism of letter of credit. There is a long mechanism that needs to be passed by an exporter or importer who wants to use a letter of credit. The following is a more complete explanation of this mechanism. One, the first is exporters and importers enter into a sale and purchase agreement in an advance and make a document of a sale purchase contract. The second is the important asks the bank to open a letter of credit herein after referred to as the issuing bank. The third is the issuing bank provides the importer's letter of credit to the advising bank along with all the conditions that must be met by the bank. The fourth is advising bank shall provide letter of credit to exporter along with all required documents. The five is the exporter take care of delivery of goods to to the importing country in accordance with the points of agreement in the sale purchase contract document. The sixth is document proof of delivery are submitted to the at to the advising bank by the exporter. The seventh is advising bank checks and ensures that the documents submitted by the exporter are valid and in accordance with the provisions in the letter of credit. The eighth is advising bank forwards proof of payment and delivery document to the issuing bank. Next. Next. The nine is the importer receives notification from the issuing bank that it has received the required document listed in the letter of credit from the exported through an intermediary advising bank. The 10 is the importer makes payment to the issuing bank in accordance with the LOC agreement. And the last is opening bank returns funds to the advising bank. I think it's enough. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. For next material is safe deposit box. Uh, the okay for this material will be presented by Siti Zainab. Time and screen is yours. Because
Uh,
Zainab has a problem, so it will be replaced by Muhammad Fikrul Umam.
okay, thank
Please.
you. Uh, I will I will represent Zen for read the material of safe deposit box. One is division of deposit box. Deposit safe deposit box are a form of bank service to public, namely by renting out boxes to store valuables for a certain period of time. Safe deposit box has two cases. One case is held by the tenant customer. One case is kept by the bank. The safe deposit box can only be opened by using two keys at the same time. From the bank perspective, from the bank's perspective, the safe deposit box is a promotional tool, namely by improving service to the community. A guaranteed deposit is required to replace it if the case is lost. However, if the case strong storage period is not lost, the case security deposit will be returned to the tenant customer. Next. Eh, the types of valuable goods stored in safe deposit box. The items that are allowed to be stored in the safe deposit box are the following items. A. Currency, precious metals, and other valuables. B. Securities, certificates, and other important documents. C. Other items approved by the bank in writing. Things that need to be considered in relation to items stored in safe deposit box are E. Customer are prohibited by from submitting closed deposits to banks in the form of prohibited items such as narcotics, goods that are usually damaged by fire. B. A form of closed deposit before paying stored in a safe deposit box must be opened in front of a bank official. Next, the sample. of deposit box. Accounting for safe deposit box includes receipt of annual rent, receipt of SDPK security deposit, cancellation or expiration of SDP list. For receipt of rental money, it can be recorded in the SDP rental account, retrieve it in advance, which will be recorded as a payable item. Gradually, it will be allocated to the bank's income into the income statement. If the key is removed by the customer, the STP must be opened by force and will result in losses for the bank because they have to replace it with new equipment. Recording of rent and security deposit. Next. Next, please. B, at the time of receipt of rental. Okay, nice. C, when the agreement is terminated. Next. D, key lost by customer. And the fourth, type of size and price of safe deposit box. There are various sizes. Different sizes of safe deposit box also have different price. Usually banks have safe deposit box services, but keep in mind that there are some banks that only provide safe deposit box services with the condition that they become priority customers where the customer must save a certain amount and cannot be taken for a certain period of time. There are various types of safe deposit box sizes. Usually each bank is different. The following is the size of Mandiri Bank safe deposit box. The five is things that need to be considered. The following are things that need to be considered regarding safe deposit box based on OGK. There are fees charged to the tenant, including rent, collateral, and fines for late payment of rent. B, the bank is not responsible for change in the quantity of goods that we store. If the item is lost or damaged, it is not the bank's fault. It is forbidden to store items such as firearms or explosive, as well all kind of items that are suspected of being able to harm or damage the SDP in question and surrounding area. The sixth is weakness of safe deposit box. Apart from the advantage offered by safe deposit box, such as security and convenience, there are several disadvantages, namely, usually customer cannot access the safe deposit box outside of working hours. So if there is a certain need, they have to wait on weekdays. B, if there are unscrupulous bankers, customer can be targeted. This has happened in Indonesia. Although it has several weaknesses, it seems that the safe deposit box is one of safest place to store goods, especially securities such as house certificates. 7. Purpose of safe deposit box. There are more and more valuable items owned by the community, so suggestions for safer storage are needed. B, The storage of valuable is safer. They are stored in a bank safe deposit box. C. Items are stored in separate box. Each key to the box is stored, while the master key is held by bank's employees so that storage is more secure. D. The safe deposit box can take or store the goods at any time during the validity period of safe deposit box contract. E. Safe deposit box is a source of income for the bank. A. Safe deposit box mechanism. E. Meet the teller and express the intention and purpose of our arrival. B. Fill out a safe deposit box T9 application. C. Fill out the power of attorney for the safe deposit box. D. Fill in the rental agreement for the safe deposit box the the Indonesian People's Bank. E. Answer it with the meaning of agreeing to agreement. F. Fill in the safe deposit box entry permit card at PT Bank Rakyat Indonesia. G. If you want to stop, create or fill out a safe deposit box termination request. 9. The benefit of safe deposit box. Here to advantage of using a safe deposit box, which are as follow. A for bank, it is a rental cost, security deposit that tells customer service. B for customer, it is ensure the confidentiality of the items stored, safety of goods guaranteed. It is safe deposit box image. Okay, I think it's enough. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. For the next material is value card. The material will be presented by Veronika. Because Nika was unable to attend, so it will be replaced by Faizal Rizky Prasetya. Time and screen is yours, please.
Okay, thank you. I will describe about value card. The first is definition of value card. A store value card or gift card is a type of electronic bank debit card. Store value card have a specific dollar value preloaded to them. Credit card networks, bank card issuers, and retail merchants provide this card as a way to provide non-cash payment cards to the public for a variety of purposes. Number two is purpose of value card. The important role of credit card in modern life was created as non-cash payment instrument where the transaction you make are at the expense of the bank. Okay, next. Number one is can make financial transaction even when you don't have cash. Number two, many promos available for credit cards user. And number three, there are various rewards available. And number four, of shopping online. And the last is transaction can be done anywhere. Next. Type of value card. Number one, there are credit card, change card, debit card, and cash card. And then there are check guarantee card. National and international card. National credit card, as the name suggests, this national credit card is only valid in one particular country, usually issued by a company in cooperation with certain credit card service providers. Example of national credit card that are quite popular in Indonesia include the Astra card and the Garuda Executive card. International credit card. International credit cards holders don't have to bother with carrying cash when traveling abroad because the card help can be used as a means of payment in almost all major countries of the world. Next. Okay, next is value card mechanism. Number one, the customer first has a credit card that has been approved by the bank providing the credit card facility. And then bank, the customer of the credit card holder makes a transaction with the credit card, and then the bank pays according to the transaction amount to the store or mall or merchant. Number three, the bank determines the amount of the bill according to the transaction, then sends the transaction bill to the customer every month. Later in payment, customer can choose two options: by paying the entire bill in full or by paying only part of it and making installment according to the terms and policies of its credit card issuing bank. And then if the customer pays in full, the customer will not be charged interest and the credit limit will return to normal. If the payment is partial, the customer will be charged with current interest on the next bill and the credit limit will be reduced. Okay, this is example of value card. Okay, I will continue to material about inkasu. Number one is definition of inkasu. According to Thomas Suyatno, inkasu is a gift power of attorney to a bank by an individual or company to billing or requesting acceptance, approval of payment, or simply hand it over to the interested party in the return the form of rupiah or parcel such as money orders, checks, promissory notes elsewhere, either domestically or overseas. Based on the Big Indonesian Dictionary, CASO is a collection to parties who are obligated to pay based on script for the interest and risk of the party who has the bill. Or it could also be interpreted that collection are wigs for money collectors. Okay, number two is type of inkasso. This collection is divided into two types, namely is one inkasso using attachment and inkasso scriptless attachment. This means that the collection slip does not need to be attached with any document. Examples of record without an attachment are billet giro, checks, and other securities. Number two is fund traffics. Meanwhile, based on the traffics of funds, this collection is also divided into two, namely in inkasso. What is meant by incoming collection here means bills that come in at the expense of the customer's account, which will later be sent to the initiating branch as profit for third parties. And exit inkasso. Well, outgoing collection are collections at the request of the customers. This means that collections are made to third parties, either to other bank outside the city or to their own branches. Incasso will only be paid to the account of the trustee after all the processes are complete. Number three is implementation mechanism. The next type of collection is based on the implementation mechanism. However, the implementation is divided into two parts, namely on-bank branch incasso and other bank branch incasso. Parties involved in incasso. There are initiating bank and implementing bank. Okay, next is implementation mechanism. The next type of collection is based on the implementation mechanism. However, the implementation is divided into two parts, namely on banks brand incasso, which means that the collection process is carried out by the bank on branch to third party outside the city with the same branch office. Okay, next. And then other bank branch incasso, which means that this type of collection is carried out on third parties who are customer of other banks outside the city. The disbursement process can be done through the bank's own branch. Okay, next. And then there are collection mechanism is done between on bank branches. This last mechanism is what is one of easier mechanism. Why is it called easier? Because in the service of this mechanism, both involve the same parent bank. It's just that the location of the bank is in different location or different places. Okay, next. Next. Okay, next is purpose of incasso. Number one is to save costs and then save more time and avoid the risk of loss. Okay, the next is number six, advantage and disadvantage of incasso. The advantage is the first source to increase bank income in the form of commissions and settlement. Number two, collection commission income and promotional facilities by improving services, complementing collection funds because they can be collected until they are disbursed by creditors. The third ways to improve service to the public and market share and is of billing payment on scripts with competitive costs. And the disadvantage of incasso is the first is since the operation one side of the LPS function. In general, LPS is only perceived as a deposit guarantee institution by collecting premiums and issuing a guarantee interest rate. The second is the guarantee program carried out by LPS is only in the form of deposits, namely demands deposits, time deposits, certificates of deposit. And number three, in the explanation of the IDIC law, it is stated that incoming and outgoing transfer and collections are not included in the guaranteed scope because they are not included in deposits. Okay. Thank you for the time.
Okay, thank you for the presentation, Muhammad Faisal Rizky. Uh, I think the discussion is enough. Thanks for the time and thanks for the attention. And sorry if there are many mistakes. Good evening. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.